Ladies and gentlemen, this episode of the Reverend Judd Wheeler podcast is a little bit of an experiment because, as you all know from listening to it, I record this and it goes on all of the podcast channels and on YouTube and all of this other stuff. You can listen to it on Spotify and all these things. But I've set up a second camera, i.e. my phone, so that I can simultaneously live stream to TikTok.
Hey, TikTok.
And like... There's no real reason for me to do that. And also, my podcast, like, every 5 minutes I do something that gets you, like, kicked off at TikTok. It's not going to last that long. But it's fine. We're just going to kind of do it for fun. It's a little bit of a behind-the-scenes view of what I do. And since I do have, like, 12,000 followers on TikTok, I know that's not, like, millions or whatever it takes to actually make 50 cents. But... it's not zero like other people I knew who were like, I'm going to get on this whole TikTok thing. That'll really promote my band or podcast. And they have like 3 people following them. And one of them is just me so I can laugh at them. Like, I'm doing a little better than that. And for being a 42-year-old ugly white dude and not a hot chick, actually, that's not half bad at all.
Alexis is sending us hearts.
Thank you for sending us hearts, Alexis. All right. It does make me feel a little bit more like a game show host.
Yes.
However, they also you're not supposed to drink and smoke on it, which I do on every podcast constantly. So we'll just really see. Hang on for that. You get extra points if you get to witness the exact moment that my thing gets cut off. Anyway, that's really disorienting. But my podcast is actually about things. We go for an hour, and I don't know what's happening with that. What you're doing there?
Oh, we see your hand.
Okay, what's happening? Yeah. This is quite the podcast. Anyway, so those of you who clicked on the thumbnail, which is I believe will be a picture of a homeless Tucker Carlson sitting on a park bench that says "Get broke, idiot" in the Fox News font, because that's always pretty funny. Okay. I wonder what's happening here.
I know. I know. I'm totally distracted. I don't care what John's talking about.
Yeah, I know. I can't even. Oh,
Yay,
thank you.
Mod.
We should have.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, me neither.
I can kick people out if they start being racist.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, cool.
Okay, good.
Yay. All right.
Get away from me, you racist fucks. I'm pretty sure you can swear on there. Anyway, sorry to everyone who actually watches my real thing. This is kind of happening.
It was like a minute of their time. They can deal with it.
And not sorry to all the people that, again, clicked on my incendiary thumbnail that has something to do with Fox News getting sued by Dominion. And then, of course, them settling for nearly $1 billion because they were in the right the whole time. And it's just that George Soros something, you stupid propagandized moron. But anyway, yeah, leave a comment about that. So, but first, last episode, we brought up the whole weird Dalai Lama thing, where, he was kissing a little boy and having fun with a little boy, and he asked the little boy to suck on his tongue, which was odd. I will say that that's definitely weird. Not weird in a sense, because if you're a religious leader, no matter the flavor, you're probably a creep. But there's people in America that go like, yeah, but it's a religious leader from a different country, so he can't be a creep. It's obviously magical and cute. Not realizing that... like Anglo-Saxon, European, like white people have committed atrocities all around the world. And so has everyone else forever. And big religions are always really bad no matter who's doing them. And sometimes...
I think that's the big point here.
Yeah, and sometimes people, would you say, this big creepy religion in a different country is also bad. They're like, oh, you're being racist. Like, well, no, I'm just being realistic. That's a scary thing made, if there was a devil, certainly by he. But nevertheless, a thing got released, speaking of this whole thing, saying that it was a weird, like, lost in translation thing. And if you hadn't seen what the reasoning that finally got released. Finally!
Well, here's what it is. Okay. It was an article that was written by Vice and released by Vice.
Yeah, that's one thing.
And I haven't really seen any other news source touch it. But if you read the article, it's like, something about, the suck my tongue thing, and here's what it actually means. And so, I mean, I'm going to be honest here. I got about halfway through the article, and I feel like it was a very poorly written article.
It was hastily written, and here the whole...
Yeah, and it felt very flimsy. So like I stopped
Flimsy is the
reading
word.
it. I stopped reading it about halfway through. I am curious to see like really, maybe there is something that we missed because like.
I was willing to accept that maybe there was something we missed. Like when I first woke up in the morning after getting that and reading it, and upon thinking about it for a little, because I read the whole thing, and like I don't know, the tone of it just really like. It feels like the amount of time that it took for someone to come out with that, and it was only Vice. Sort of indicates, well, that's what I saw too. I didn't really see much else come up. I haven't seen it in the wild yet. I only saw it because you sent it to me, which is interesting.
Also, did almost the exact, like,
yeah.
They had something on it about just it being really gross and not following up.
Well, okay, yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like, why is that thing telling me to swipe something? I'm not touching my phone.
I saw it too.
But okay, so like. Yeah, no one else really reported on it. It was Vice, and it also took forever. If it took, this is what, it was all over the place and freaking people out, right? And so, it took, weeks in our modern news cycle times and our modern informational.
A few days, but yeah.
No, it was easily, it was going on well before that podcast, and then it was several days after we did the podcast about it. So that equals north of a week, which is an eternity in fucking media years.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so. If it was like, oh my God, this is creepy and out of control, someone else too, not just Vice reporting on a thing, but like a person, some TikToker, somebody would have sat up and just with their green hair and big cat eye glasses and be like, actually, it's part of, hey, look what happened when I did that.
Oh my God.
Oh, that was amazing for a second. But they'd be sitting there and be like, actually, what happened was that it is a tradition there, and it's very valid. It's a valid thing that happens when they touch the little. They sit with the little boys.
Right now.
I wish I was gonna order some pentagram ones off of something, but anyway.
Sorry to me.
I was
making fun of a green-haired cat-eyed.
Yeah. To be like, it's very valid. It's a thing that they do, and everyone already knows about it. It's like no. It would never. Oh, thanks. That's great.
You need to start making fun of more dudes. Feels like you have. You always make fun of the women. So make fun of the dudes.
Have you noticed that every single time that I'm making fun of conservatives, I'm making fun of the dudes? There's
but the women deserve it. On that side too.
But, no. But I'm not making fun of them. They're just. Look, there was a real statistic. I'm glad you bring it up. That people's political orientations and their genders tend to do have, their biological ones tend to do have effect on where mental health runs the deepest. And it was actually a pretty solid, it wasn't from Vice. They would never even say anything like this. But, and it was that mental illness tends to run more strongly in men who are on the right, and mental illness tends to run more strongly in women on the left. And when you hear that out loud, and then you take a good long look at where the craziest shit is coming from either side. Oh, sure, there is some fucking a Stormfront Barbie, Blue Lives bitch, fucking those people, those weird senator ladies, they totally exist. But the mass of them is just booger eating fuckhead meal team 6 gravy seals dudes with their big fucking trucks and whatever, and it's just when people are like, it's fucking so rarely a dude. I mean, the dudes that are dating those people will sit there and go well, I have strong women in my life. I just agree with whatever they say. And, and if you think about what got glomped onto by that side, and I'm not ragging on that side, but now that we brought it up, it's so obviously it's a little bit split up sex-wise, just a little bit, by the old standards, by the big majority, wide swath. I can't get into the weeds with all the different little nuanceical things about it, but, it's always the old jokes hold through a little bit, like the old boomer, where it's what does a dude want more than anything with his activities? To be left alone to do them. And what does the wife want? For you to come and participate with her. Get up. And you know what I mean? It's but that's very real. I've always noticed that that's a bit of a thing. And if you look at sort of the tone,
stereotypes,
it's a bit, but it's kind of one I've seen over and over again for 40 years, all over the place, everywhere I looked. It's not always true. Of course not. These are vague, broad averages. But if you look at crazy dudes on the right, who I will now make fun of, they're full of shit, but a lot of their rallying cry is like, you need to leave me alone, me and my family, and get off our property, and don't touch our taxes, and leave alone, go away, fuck you. That's their thing. Now, it leaks into all kinds of and you're also not allowed to do this or that because my kids might see it, and that's where you get into the fucking mess of the whole thing with them. But at least the knee-jerk rallying cry in what is being said, the results may vary, but in what is being said is always like, get away, let me just do whatever I want on my blah, blah, blah. That's all I want. I want it quiet on my property, and you go away. And then, women on the left are like, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to use this word, and you need to stop using this word, and you need to da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And you can kind of, it's a very, feminine energy.
God damn, you sound like Alex Jones, just going after.
But that's the thing. And you're like, oh, you're making more fun of one side or the other. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm shitting on them both completely, but it just depends on
I didn't say one side or the other.
Oh, okay.
I said,
well, you
rag on women. You always use women as an example.
But I was just ragging on big, fat, stupid dudes, and everyone's like, of course, because that's true. So that doesn't even count as John saying anything. That's fine. That's just a given. Whatever. And then I bring up this other thing, and it's like, wow, you're really ragging on them.
Well, yeah.
Well, no, but I'm so there. Okay, my impression of the dudes on the right are like, get over fucking blah, blah, blah. You're like, yeah, they are like that. And then it's just like, everybody needs to start using different language. Like, hey, they don't do that. You're being a little mean to women. And I'm just...
I am just going on for, past podcasts and whatever. I know, fine, it's equal.
I mean, now.
I get what you're saying.
Just now it was. And also, I'm not saying it's 100% true. There are very much opposite, arguments to either of those sides. And I'm generally kind of giving just sort of the broad media, I mean, perhaps that's also the thing, too. The media is only really showing us the people who do that in that way and the people who do that. But there is a bit of a,
yeah.
How many dudes really have you experienced in your life who are like, my life right now is going to be all about making sure that you don't say the R word, and we all need to get it, for the people in the back, we need to listen to, it's like, you do hear it, but you don't hear it as much. And then there are batshit ladies on the right, I love my guns more than I love people, and people are the worst. Yeah, they're there too, but just... the energy is such a fucking big, sloppy, golden corral cowboy fucking thing from the right. It is just very,
John, thank you so much for sharing and giving the clarification. I get it, and...
I'm just talking about energies, just vaguely.
Yes.
That's the thing. But
it's fine, you're good.
Yeah.
I understand.
No, and I'm not, and yeah, I make fun of dudes a lot, but it is kind of funny that it's that just goes almost completely yeah, of course, whatever. They're the worst things in the world. Then I say something else, it's wow. And I'm not saying you're doing that. That kind of just happens in general. And I tend to go off on here more than I really would in a stand-up comedy bit. I tend to be a little bit more even-handed or not even really get into that kind of stuff in my comedy. I'm more trying to just gross people out and push everything as far as I can go, like how the mummy gives you a hand job when he catches you and stuff. Good. That's important to me. That's what I say up there really matters the most. What I put on the internet is to terrorize the internet. That is the purpose of that. And we're on the internet in more ways than one right now. I haven't been kicked off at TikTok yet, which is sort of surprising. I guess
we're doing pretty good.
I don't know
where that cowboy hat and
Alexis was doing that apparently, she said. But so
give me one. I want one.
Yeah, give Meredith a cowboy hat.
I don't want a cowboy hat.
Oh, yeah, I think she's trying. Oh, there it is. You get Nintendo glasses.
Yay, awesome.
But you can't see it if you're a good citizen watching us on YouTube, unfortunately. And you definitely can't hear it if you're listening to us at work. But, which you should be doing. It's distracting and, fuck the man.
Ha, bro hat.
Do your, oh boy. But yeah, anyway, so
YouTube, I keep forgetting about them.
Vice, has a lot of a certain kind of energy to it, and so it's just nobody independently came out and was like, oh no, I know a lot about the Dalai Lama and Tibetan culture and whatever, and you all are being shitheads. None of those people came out of the woodwork. So this,
not that I've seen
week,
either.
No, and I tend to see things. That's why I talk so much shit. But a week later or more even, Vice like comes out with this sloppy thing being like, no, you
sloppy,
and let's explain it to the people. Like what it says is, so it's like, oh, when an older man is like, I guess a younger relative, some way in which it's not creepy. But it's just like, oh, he says
I still
hello.
felt it was creepy.
It was creepy, but hang on.
Was
but like,
creepy.
it's a little boy, and you give him a hug, and you like give him some candy or something. Oh boy, this is not saving anybody.
I know.
Hang on. When the old man gives a little boy candy and bounces him on his knee, and you give him a kiss because you love people, and it's not weird. We're making it weird, except it's weird. And then you give him all the candy, and then there's nothing left. And all there is left is to eat my tongue. And if that doesn't sound like a thing someone just tried to make up at the last second to make something
really
make sense, yeah.
Because here's the problem.
The whole point was that there's nothing left. So I guess you just have to eat my tongue. But he's got like broken English, and so it's like he said, "Suck my tongue," and
there we go. I do remember that now.
It's like look. The problem I have with that is that it sounds like something that someone like me, who's like got paid to figure out. Okay, there's lots of creepy things that are like beautiful and they're part of someone's culture that sound like that. It's not weird. And they sound like that. So if you go, oh, it's just one of those things, a lot of people are pretty willing to believe it. And then, a bunch of people I think just don't even care. And then a bunch of people who are like, again, a little bit more in that standing on a chair, clapping at people sort of mentality are like, oh my God, I almost made fun of someone else's culture. The worst thing they could do, aside from also appreciating it and wearing like a shirt from India or something. Like, oh, it's terrible. And that whole crowd, who there are pictures of wearing Dreamcatcher earrings at Coachella 7 years before they started fighting against cultural appropriation. But hey, maybe they grew as people and they're not guilty and ashamed of who they are, which is no one, because they need some kind of personality fill in. But anyway, they were all like, oh yeah, we almost fucked up. So everyone, there's some people who were like, oh yeah, this is totally okay and it's not weird at all. I stand by my thing where I just think that, religions are all bad. And I'm not talking about anyone's like personal spiritual practice. I'm literally talking about the commodity. If someone has built a building, you're already fucked as far as religion goes.
And then picked a mascot, like I said before.
Yeah, you pick a mascot.
Yeah.
And then you go like, this mascot can do no wrong. And then he asks little boys to suck on his tongue. And then if somebody comes out and goes, oh, he means eat his tongue. And then you go, oh, my mistake. That's not weird. And then everyone lets it go.
Another problem with the article is it kind of jumped around a little bit. So I was like, what is even
It was a spazzy mess. Yeah, no.
So it's just...
Someone wrote that on the bus on the way to school when they had a week to finish their project. That's what that was. Now, that's where I do my best work. But I don't work for Vice. I work for a company that makes drugs and drug accessories. Oh my God, I do. Anyway, I'm not supposed to talk about that. Right. Goddamn TikTok. Anyway.
Well, we're still on. I mean...
we are still on, but now I'm all like second-guessy about it. I do like it, though, because it's making me talk faster and weirder about worse things. Because, A, I feel like I need to please whoever may be watching live and interact with them somehow. But then, like... okay, bye, one watcher who is my wife, Alexis.
Is she leaving?
Yeah, she's going to read her book.
What the hell?
Well,
Is there more than her watching?
I don't understand. We got 3 gold things, though. I just don't think we're going to get any more.
I don't know what the fuck that even means.
If we make $20, I'll split it with you. But...
Bet.
Yeah. Oh, way to use young kids' language. Oh my God, somebody
You like that?
You'll appreciate. No, but that reminds me. You'll appreciate this. Someone posted something. I think it was on Reddit or whatever, but it was in like no stupid questions or some.
We need the book. Oh wait, no, we don't.
What do we need the fucking book for?
Because
it was blurry. All right. But it showed like a picture of some white kid with like super shaved right here, and then just kind of the blob of like curly mess. And they're like, how come every single dude under a certain age has this haircut? And all the comments were like, yeah, it's like 50% of the people in my school. And they're like, only 50 for you? It's fucking everybody. And I'm like, yeah, I see it even when like kids are playing in the park across the street, like going to play kickball or something. Like everyone. And it just makes me mad because my hair looked like that in like high school and stuff. And I got just trashed for it constantly. But it was the only thing anyone had, too. Because I was funny. I was bigger than most people. Like in gym class, like, nothing to be proud of, Rusty, but, like, someone could be like, I bet you can't catch me, and I would run them the fuck down and tackle them. Like, I actually have I famously have said I'm a wasted natural athlete. Like, it's like, I'm not saying I'm a natural athlete and then I'm going to arm wrestle you. I'm not going to do anything. I let it just fall apart. I'm one of those people, if I had tried, I'd have so much brain damage from being captain of the football team, and I decided not to do any of that because I don't care about sports. But had I would have been tearing people's heads off for sure if I had, like, lifted weights in 7th grade and became one of those people. But... So I was like, oh, did you get a perm?
Oh, God.
And all those people are bald now, thank you very much, so I have that. But at the same time, it's a little bit of a bummer that it's like, oh, that's just cool now. Oh, the hair that, like, you had to try to make your hair look like that? That's how my hair grew in, and it's getting you, pussy.
God, and it's been cool for, like, a long time now.
It's critical mass now, though.
So annoying.
Critical mass now. It's just, like, no one has a different haircut.
I'm glad I am the age I am, because then I'd have to, like, think that was super hot and
yeah, you'd be like, they'd be like breathing their fucking Delta 9 pot breath in your face, like, oh, you're so hot, and it's just like, look at my hair flopping around. You want to go steal?
That still could happen.
You want to go steal an Amazon package, like fucking goddamn people. But yeah, everybody has that haircut and everybody has that hairstyle, and I don't know, maybe it's natural for more people. Maybe genetically everyone's a little bit more, because like I'm so fucking old that when I was a kid, like. I was the only kid that had curly hair, like, naturally. Like, they probably did think it was a perm, because everyone was some, like, weird Norwegian midway. Oh, there's my friend Joe Norgard and John Anderson and da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, at least everyone's a little blended up now. The white kids have curlier hair, so it's like, cool. Now everybody's on the same page. But I was like the one like Scottish Welsh kid. Like I was a different kind of white person, and I got made fun of. Not even Irish. For God's sake.
I mean, your hair's calmed down with age, but you had, when I met you, you had the thickest, densest, like just textury hair. You know, that was super curly.
Yeah.
And thick. So there was like, when we grew up, there was no hope for you because like the hot thing was just like nasty, floppy, like
long, straight,
straggly. Yeah.
Until like White Zombie got big and I got dreadlocks, and around then I lost my virginity. Like, oh, look at that! And then later that same what do I want to say, market, but the newer ones were like, you shouldn't have that because you're white. I'm like, okay. So then I got them done again.
Well, here's the thing, though, with the problem with it, though, is your hair locks.
It just did it on its own. Yeah.
So is it really appropriation? Your hair can do it. Because, like, a lot of the complaints are, Caucasian hair just doesn't dread. And it doesn't. Because I, made the mistake in the past of getting dreads, and it just, no. No, I've given many of dread perms back in the day before it was like considered.
It's not even considered. Like I think as a society we've started to move on because literally everyone that had a problem with that had a trust fund and their college paid for and lived in a gated community.
Right now that it still kind of is an issue because since I do hair, I follow a lot of hair accounts, so I see that shit pop up quite a bit, and it's still a problem. I don't think as many white people are doing dreadlocks anymore.
Yeah, maybe not. But everyone has short hair now, too.
Because, it looks terrible unless it's on someone like you who has the hair that can do it.
Yeah, I guess if it does that thing where you have, like, after a year, they're just all hanging from threads and it looks like you're going bald. Yeah, that does look terrible. My hair looked cool.
But the only way you were going to have long hair. I mean, your hair would grow out instead of down.
Yeah, I would grow I looked like the guy from fucking Workaholics or whatever. Mm-hmm. The dude with the big triangle of like floofy hair. Like I looked like. No, I didn't really look like this. I was trying to. I had this weird thought a while ago, and I feel like this is an archetype. I feel like everyone at least of a certain age remembers this, but like, there's always. If you're at some weird party and the people are like vaguely of a hippie-ish bent or whatever, and maybe this is just me talking completely insanely, but I always feel like some dude will show up, and like the main dude running the party will be like, "Oh, you guys, some of you might not even want to be here because this guy's crazy. Hey, Jefferson, come in here. And it's like, he sits there talking about how this guy's like I couldn't think of it. It would probably be like Pookie or something. He'd have some made up drug guy name. But he'd be like, this guy's crazy. And all he is this dude with like a Bob Ross beard, like long straight hair parted perfectly down the center with like big ears sticking out. And he's short and he's just kind of like, and he's just not saying anything. He's like, dude. This dude's crazy. This guy's really off the wall, man. You don't even know if you're ready to hang out with this guy. And he doesn't say anything the whole time. It's just once he thought a hacky sack was like a dragon and someone else believed him. And like, whoa. Or whatever, like, because fucking hippie culture is the dumbest thing. But I don't even know. It's like I can see his face. It's like a dream, like Freddy Krueger that we've all had. I don't know what that is.
God, what's the Always Sunny when Dennis joins the hippies for a while? There was the guy's name was like something really lame,
like Fawn or something. Or,
yeah.
And then he bangs his white girlfriend with huge dreadlocks.
Yes.
And that's fine. I guess getting fucked by maybe a serial killer is what you get for having dreads. Yeah, though. It's hard to talk about the Dalai Lama being a weird old pervert and then people's weird, hacky, confusing defense of it. And then a bunch of people going, oh, that sounds right. Okay, I'm so sorry. Without bringing up that bent of things. Like, it's just very difficult. So I've seen a
few people on my social media feeds, not many, but a few of all genders that have, like, they bought that article. They were like, fine, and said, well, I guess I didn't know. It's like, did you read what I read? I mean, like, I'm not gonna. I don't know.
A lot of people
part of it makes me want to look into it and be like more because the article's just shitty. It's like but I still felt creepy about it.
So yeah, well, here's just really what I think. I think that it's shocking and depressing how many people out there, all they do is just read the words what they says. You know what I mean? They just see a thing and they go, this says that. And then it sort of is like, it makes, and it might make a point or whatever. I'm not saying that people just believe literally anything. There's a step in between. This is going to be hard to explain because a decent amount of people, no matter what section of the population you take from, fall into this category. But you're like, oh, it's actually this. What you thought was wrong, you see, it's part of their culture, it's da-da-da-da-da, and you go, oh, okay, that sounds reasonable enough, we're done here now. But no, like, far less people go like, yeah, but did you kind of think about how long it took for this to come out, how weirdly disjointed it is, how thin the premise sounds, like those weird things that you can't read, it's like, but it's a thing that said, oh, this is what are they lying? I'm like, I don't know, maybe they're not exactly lying, but like, you can do this, I can do this. Some people can do this where you're like, yeah, but read how it's written. Not what it's saying, and not even the point it's making. Read how it's written. It's like reading the retraction thing, famously from the Roswell crash, where the first one is this like, here's the facts as we know them. This might be an extraterrestrial thing. That's what people are actually saying. People from the government said that to the press. They're like, oh, it's alien. It's like, okay. And it's kind of this almost flat sort of like, yep, this is what we saw. They're reporting on this, whatever. The next day when they're like, oops, it wasn't aliens after all, feels panicky and thrown together in every last way that it would feel if they were like, oh, you can't put that in the paper, and they showed up at your house with guns pointed at you. Like, you can just read it. It's how I always, like, I'll watch a TV show or something, and then there'll be a joke where the obvious punchline was so much that they didn't do. It was so much funnier, but it kind of was like, ooh, but that might have rattled a little feathers. You can feel the tension that spilled over from the writer's room where they came up with something really funny. And someone was like, well, but, and they nerfed it down to something else. And you're like, no, it was kind of funny. Maybe it wasn't that funny. They could have did what you came up with, but they probably didn't think, no. You can sense it. You can like, oh, they came up with the real mean, funny thing, and someone told them no, and they kind of went with something else. There are a lot of people out there that can sense that kind of thing. And that Dalai Lama article where it's like, oh, it's just when you give them all the candy and there's nothing left but to eat my tongue. Oh, it's just this age-old thing that no one's heard of until just now. Like, that's definitely part of this beautiful culture that people have been fucking obsessed with forever, and we've never heard of this. Like, all I like is was old enough to like go to a concert and get a boner. There'd be some kid in a t-shirt. It's like, yeah, free Tibet, and I'm like, really? Where are they handing it out? Where's my free Tibet, you fuzzy-haired fuckhead?
See, that's a very good point, because, yeah, you'd think, more mainstream cultures would have heard about that then, because it is, Buddhism is a very popular...
Oh, yeah.
Popular religion, and then white people have taken it on.
It doesn't. But religion belongs to whoever finds it. But the thing is
I know, but I'm just
the real discipline of Buddhism is probably one of the, I would say maybe one of the closer things we have, generally speaking, to whatever maybe the real thing is.
Right.
Like, it seems a little bit closer to like, okay, whatever our actual connection with each other in the universe and whatever, it gets brought up in that a lot. Also a lot of Vedic Hindu things, and there's stuff, but then again, they also have a lot of similarities. So it's like, oh, it's almost like whatever, but it's like, again, as soon as there's a guy in charge in a building and other people that work for that guy in that building, it's like, then whatever the spirituality started as, whether it's Buddhism or anything, now it's bad. Now you've done it, and fudged the bucket. And you said too many words for me to know. You have just messed this whole thing up that was supposed to be beautiful. And whatever, you put an old pervert in charge. It's just what happens. And
every religion does it.
Every religion does it. And it's just the idea that one is exempt because it's like some weird, beautiful, magic hippie thing is like, dude, I know a beautiful magic hippie thing that lived in the desert of California for a while, and they stabbed a whole bunch of people. So, like...
It's all gross out there.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's my Manson family joke.
I feel like we have gone on long enough about Dalai Lama.
Yeah,
and it's probably time to start talking about what the fucking picture is about.
I just wanted to make sure that, like, on the off chance that somebody hates me enough that they want to leave a shitball comment about whatever the clickbait thing is, and this one's about Fox News giving away almost $1 billion for doing nothing wrong, right? And, whatever, like, you gotta watch for a half hour through a whole bunch of bullcrap to even get to it, but you're that mad. Maybe you're gonna skip through it a little bit. Those count as views. Anyway, this lawsuit started a while ago where the Dominion, the company that makes voting machines, because it has to be a company, somebody has to make something, sued Fox News for, like, pushing the former president's, like, narcissistic, batshit, schizophrenic idea that he can't ever lose anything, even though he lost the first election and then the second one by even more, numbers-wise anyway, which I think is the main thing in elections. I guess not, because the Electoral College isn't a fucking horrible thing. But, yeah, they were just like, oh, specifically the people making the voting machines were in on it. They wanted to overthrow the will of a bunch of really sad, gross people that hate the way everything's turned out for them, even though it's their own fault. And deny the fact that a bunch of people were dancing in the street like they just blew up the Death Star because we fucking voted a third-string president in that at least wasn't the last guy. And which should tell you enough. But yeah, they were like, oh, this giant company that handles the very difficult and solemn task of counting votes and things. Oh, well, they lied. They lied and they rigged the election or whatever, and there was like no evidence, and it's very clearly not true, and all these other things.
So they were reporting this, is what you're saying?
They were going like, and they were doing their bullshit. Like people like Tucker Carlson do that thing that
not actual like reporters, just
the talking heads on TV with huge.
Yeah.
But the report, I mean, people, like, they were all, no one on that channel was going, like, maybe it's not that, because it's just so important to, like, push this thing.
Fired if they did.
Yeah. And then also the funny thing of all the private texts and emails where they all kind of hate Trump, but they're like, well, we gotta fucking pander to the fucking fat redneck base. Which is so funny, too, because it's like people can, like, see that and be like, well, they're not talking about me. I just like Trump. It's like, God, I hate that we have to be nice to Trump because of these dumbasses. And they're like, they're probably talking about other dumbasses, like woke people. Hey, remember that thing I just did for later? When I start making fun of other people.
Yeah.
Let's just make sure that we're tallying that I do so much more of that. But it's so casually and rolls off the tongue. But so yeah, like they don't even like the guy. And it's just like their job to be like, well, whoever all the doofuses love, we have to just go, yeah, well, the election got stolen from him or whatever. But in this particular case, rather than just going like, well, it's not fair, blah, 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 they got all emboldened by QAnon and stuff. So they're like, it's specifically the voting people. And Tucker Carlson does a thing that, ironically, he learned it from Rush Limbaugh. South Park made fun of this exact thing when Cartman became a right-wing radio person, which tells you everything you need to know about your allegiance. He was doing the like, is Hillary Clinton a reptile from space? I'm not saying she is. I'm just asking questions. And that's Carlson's thing. And he wasn't even really like prominent when that happened. So it's like he maybe learned it from Rush Limbaugh. He maybe learned it from Eric Cartman. I don't fucking know. And it doesn't make a difference. But he's just being like, did they steal the election away from you? This gross, strange minority that just votes for everything because you have nothing else going on, even though you're like 30% of the country? Well, I'm just asking. I'm asking a question. Are people who, want to live their life and not have their throats stepped on by people wearing jackboots at your behest, voting in their own best interest? And it turns out that there's actually lots of them, and but there's not lots of them. They're a tiny minority that, through some weird combination of the Clintons and George Soros and money and reptiles from space, are just suppressing what is this giant majority in America, even though you're all panicking about being replaced. Which is it, you idiots? I'm just asking questions. I don't know. Something to think about before bed and bring up with your grandkids at Thanksgiving. The last time you'll ever see them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, they're doing that whole shtick. But apparently in like a court of law, just the amount of repetition and the amount of everything else, it's like they do the asking questions thing. Look, if anybody ever like puts forth something in the form of a question that's extremely divisive and weird and one-sided, and then goes, they're just asking questions, they're doing it because they know they're going to get sued if they just come right out and say it, because whatever the fuck it is isn't true. And they have a big enough platform, like, yeah, if Alex Jones would have been a little bit smarter, he would have just sat there and be like, well, what happened? We need to be looking into Sandy Hook more. I don't know. But he's like, this absolutely happened, and God damn it, I hate it. And on top of that, they're turning the freaking frogs gay. And it's like, the frogs fucking sued him. And now, actually, the wild thing is Alex Jones got sued for more money than Fox News.
Yeah, he did.
Like, he doesn't have that kind of money.
Absolutely, like,
he didn't form his answer in the form of a question. He broke Jeopardy rules, and he lost $1 billion. You have to be like, is Obama turning the frickin' frogs gay? I don't know. I just wonder if he is. And then, you still have all your money. I'm like pretending he got sued over that because that's funnier than the real thing.
The real truth is just horrendous and like sad. And
it's his horrifying. Shenanigans are evil and tragic. Evil shenanigans. Yeah. They're not cheeky and fun like Fox News is. They just try to overthrow democracy periodically.
Yeah. I mean, that's not serious at all.
Yeah, and by periodically I mean nonstop. But and have succeeded quite a bit. Just the wild thing is, though, look, the thing I'm looking forward to the absolute most is the fact that, okay, they got sued by this thing, and like abruptly, like it's been going on, it's been grinding on. You know, when like big things like that get sued and when Trump gets in trouble, like the main thing is just have all your high-powered lawyers grind everything to a halt for as long as you can until they run out of money or whatever. And Fox News, like Fox, the giant media corporation, they own the. I hate that the same people own The Simpsons. I don't care that they own football, but they definitely do, and both those things are huge. So, they have the resources, and something happened. We don't know what. We may not know what for a while, like JFK assassination levels, if we don't quite know exactly what. But, what did Bob Lazar actually see in Area S4? Like, we don't know what. But, whatever it was, all of a sudden, they were like, okay, fuck, let's just settle for nearly $1 billion. Like 780 million. Like when someone, and they're like, that's not quite $1 billion. And I'm like, if something breaks on my car or house and I have to pay like $798, I pretty much tell people it was $1,000. It's $1 billion at this point with the taxes and fees and whatever else. Yeah, it's $1 billion. $1 billion, just like Freddie got figures. $1 billion, easy come, easy go. Like, that's it. And so, like, that's a lot. That's not nothing, and it sets an insane precedent. Like, they talked a bunch of shit, and they got sued, and they gave up almost $1 billion. And it's like, well, but they have like $100 billion because they're popular. And it's like, well, this ain't the last time this is going to happen because that just worked. Also, it didn't even get all the way to its logical conclusion. That was a settlement. Yeah. That was them going like, okay. It was like, wow, they were telling the truth, and they have the will of the people behind them, and so they don't have to take any. They give them $1 billion, I don't know what it is yet. Like, there's one at work, glass blower that I would put. I don't think he's any fan of Rush Limbaugh, but certainly just a tiny bit of the right to your average Joe Rogan fan. So a
fucking libertarian.
A confused libertarian. Ugh. Now I don't have to say confused because that's all of them. But someone, Sam Dunn said a confused libertarian a while ago, and I'm like, that's fine. I don't even know what a real version is, but someone that doesn't understand how human nature, society, physics, and the economy and everything else work. But it was kind of like I definitely did hear non-ironically like George Soros' name and something, and it wasn't even very cobbled together yet. I'm like, oh yeah. Keep going. Like, I just felt like and by the way, I like this dude and everything, and but I just like to pretend that I was grilling him like Samuel Jackson, and just like, why did Fox News give $780 million to this company if they were doing nothing wrong? Well, they're getting sued. Go on. Did they look like a bitch? He's black. Go on. He's bald. Yeah, like, it just felt like George Soros.
That's amazing.
Did they do something right? Yeah, like, it had that sort of, like, it was jovial, but in my mind, I was, the deep state, go on. Just that mean, owly-eyed Samuel Jackson, just like, yeah, and?
Yes.
Oh my God, I love that. So,
me too.
Like, yeah, there's nothing yet. And these are the golden hours, ladies and gentlemen. I want to share this time with people, and I hope to get this out soon. I hope to get this out before, whatever it is happens, because it's hard to really mark these times, and it's hard to explain. But it's like the answers you start hearing at nauseum, and I think people are definitely catching on to this too, like reading a lot of big internet forums where people kind of think, keeping an eye on things. It's hilarious when something is clearly just this entity doing what it wants to do, and it's in the wrong, and it's fucked up. But they get caught with their pants down a little bit, so they haven't given you the argument against your, cool, like, millennial grandkids at Thanksgiving yet. You just don't have it. And when it has not been handed out, you don't know. Like, it's just sputtery. It's like Tommy Boy. Again, I just keep reading. It's like all you did was sputter sentence fragments and start fires. Like when you're like, how come Fox News paid them if they did nothing wrong and they just suddenly did it? And that's a lot of goddamn money, and it opens the door up for more lawsuits and all this stuff. If they're in the right and they were telling the truth, what is it? And they're just like, well, see, the liberal media, it's like, were they, okay, they report on things. Were they lying about this? Like, we don't know yet. And I'm like, yeah, you don't know yet. You haven't been given from your local pastor or your fucking AM radio station what it is that you're supposed to say yet. The only times you ever sound smart is because it's been handed to you by corporate. And in those in-between times, and that's what I love, because I have to audit myself too. As sort of an actualized person that knows when he's wrong and stuff, I'm right more than you because I know when to admit defeat. But I'm like, I don't know. Like, sometimes I don't, and sometimes I'm wrong, and sometimes I get suckered in by this hot topic at the moment propaganda, and I'm like, whoops. Yeah. And I'll tell everybody that'll listen. I'm like, yeah, they really got me there. Because I don't give a shit. Because I don't have this weird, phony styrofoam ego pinned together with, like pieces of Velcro and shit. Like, it's this fallible thing, like everyone is, but... but when something really fucked up happens and people are like, well, what happened with that? I'm like, well, it was obviously this. Where'd you hear that? Like, it's obviously what happened. I already know. It sounds ironclad because I understand how things work, and I'm just telling you now. I can do it immediately. It's hard to think of an exact example. It's like, well, what was up with this? It's like, oh, they wanted a bunch of money and they lied about it, so then this happened. Well, where are you getting your news from? It's clearly what and I would love that confidence from the other side of the aisle. I really would. I would love to be like, why did they get sued? And have somebody, instead of going like, well, see, the thing is like, there's forces at work and there's Marxist race replacement. I mean, not that I'm not really. And it's like, eventually they'll be like, oh, it was a distraction from Elon Musk's Twitter. They'll make something up, but then they'll just be like, well, it was a distraction from Elon Musk's Twitter, and I came up with that on my own, like you always claim you can. And take another note of what I'm making fun of here.
Yes,
and like
sir. God.
I'm just saying it's 90% of what I do.
Today.
Yeah, today. And every once in a while, someone's like, airlines should give overweight people free seats. It's like, oh, is that a dude? Like, no, I'm you know, but I don't
Maybe
do that.
It's a fat dude.
Not the article I saw.
Okay, what?
But no, I don't even care. The airlines can just do it. They can eat a dick, and I hate them, and whatever. And people can ride the cargo hold. That's where you hide all the beer and the secrets. And like, I want to ride in there, so I'm gonna get fat. It's fine. I'm not even mad. But the point is that there is so clearly, and this Fox News thing is going to be lots of fun because there's no official line right now. Like Fox News thing right now is they're just not talking about it. So it's like, I don't know, that's probably not even real. And then when they're like, oh, why are you broadcasting from a chicken coop? It's like, okay, we lost some money. Like, oh, did you invest in crypto and when it reached $60,000 or whatever? Like, no. And you should still do that, by the way. They're a sponsor. Yeah, like we got sued, wrongly accused, and then a liberal judge, made us pay all that money. He's like, didn't you decide to settle? It's like, that's liberal media. They're lying. They're lying about how people forced us to do. It's like, aren't you these like tough guys with more money than it? Yeah. And so whatever it is, and that's the fun. This is the fun. We can sit and guess what it'll be, and then later, like, put a pin in this. Because
it's speculating great. I love speculating.
Speculating is so much fun. I have a thing in my pocket, like you do at all times, that lets you find the answer to anything. I mean, obviously, there's like certain things are biased, weird social issues. Yeah, fine. But it's like, how much does the moon weigh? We can figure that out. And be like, well, is by Earth's gravity or Saturn's gravity? It's like, good question. We'll look up both. And so, yeah. But it's more fun to just guess how much the moon weighs to waste time at your job. That's what... That's the thing where you got to learn to put Google away every once in a while. It's like, you know, you don't have to go outside and play in the park, but you can, you know, turn your phone off and just kind of conjecturally, like, have a group of 4 people come up with wrong answers constantly until someone finally looks it up and goes, oh, it was none of that. But, yeah, that beauty is ours. Like, I will never actually be able, I don't consider myself a good enough fucking political and social analyst to actually guess what the weird at the whatever's next, the Memorial Day picnic or something where everyone gets mad at each other, like what the Fox News line about that'll be. I'm going to guess that at first, though, if I got to guess, they will mostly just try to not talk about it. But my God, that's so much money.
It is.
That is so much money to actually just have to like give away to someone. And can you imagine, this is what I'd love to know, how much did they spend fighting it up until then? When they realized we're going to lose so much more if we keep going and then still lose. That had to be the tipping point. It had to be like, okay, we've already spent like $500 million fighting this thing. And so if we just give them 700 now, we're up a little over $1 billion. But it's like, if we keep fighting it, we're going to spend $1 billion and lose 10. And like, let's just go, here you go. Could we please drop this? But that's how settlements work. And that's a funny thing, too. I want to make a quick distinction here, and this is a little bit of a class division more than anything, because, you know, this will probably never affect me, you, and anyone watching, but nevertheless, you know, when the cops say that going, I'm not going to say anything, even if they're just, like, knock on your door, like, did you see who got shot in your front yard earlier? And you go, nope, and the cameras, I don't know, the internet, something. and whatever. And you're like, well, you're going to have to come in for questioning. And you go, I want my lawyer. It's like, that makes you look more guilty. No, it doesn't. Get a lawyer. Don't say anything. That always pleading the fifth makes you look more guilty. Getting a lawyer makes you look more guilty. No, that is untrue. That's a trick. They're trying to get you. However, when you settle out of court, you're guilty as shit. You're guilty as shit. Oh, it doesn't make you look guilty. You're guilty. Because if you have settle out of court money, you had enough money to pay lawyers to fight your way out of this if you were in the right. But you're not. So fucking settle it. You would have given that $100,000 or whatever to a lawyer to get you off because you were not doing anything wrong. But you fucking were, and everyone knows it. So instead of giving that to a lawyer to try and fail, you just give it to the other people and just be like, I want this to end. I don't have settle out of court money. I have maybe go into a little bit of debt fighting something with a lawyer, but probably because I'm being unjustly those pictures could be of anyone's ass.
Try and take my money.
Yeah.
Kind of money. That's what I have. Like, yeah, just
it was like, fine.
take my broke ass. I don't care.
Years ago, I had crumple up and throw it in throw my summonses in the garbage money.
I'm like, go for it, because that's all I've got.
I don't know about you, but I come from generational debt.
Yeah, exactly.
I eat at only the finest McDonald's is. But yeah, that's settling out of court. If there's no other lesson, one, fuck all the shit from earlier. I don't even really care about the Dalai Lama or you people, anybody. But I definitely enjoy the golden time before everyone's handed their line on what to say at Thanksgiving to ruin it about how Fox News was right all along or whatever.
Yes.
And ask them now. Ask your relatives now. Ask them early and often. How come they did that? And watch them just have no idea. Because you're not a giant fan of that kind of news station if you understand how, the legal system works, economics, cause and effect in general.
I was going to say cause effect or any
gravity's pretty thin. Just anything. Anything. Science, that's, for sure. Yeah, we were proud of not understanding that. Yeah. So, enjoy that. And then remember this important, fun little fact. Pleading the fifth and asking for a lawyer when you're a regular person doesn't make you look more guilty. As a matter of fact, it'll probably get your ass out of not only a felony, but probably out of maybe everything. If you just don't say shit on social media, don't say shit to your friends and neighbors, you could probably shoot someone right in the face. And if no one sees it and you don't say anything, they'll probably be like, well, crime's getting bad. They just, what are they going to do? Don't shoot anybody. But I'm saying that, that's the level to which that goes. And, however, if you see someone that settles out of court, if someone's getting it, here's a fun litmus test. It's hard to say who is or is not a prevert. But when some celebrity prevert, if they haven't settled out of court yet, they might not have done that shit. If they did, and they did it quickly, they done that shit. Yeah. That's a fun little litmus test. So big celebrities don't quite have the money that corporations do, but they're still in that same ballpark. The ballpark that we're not in. No. But they could pay people off and whatever. Yeah, if someone pays someone off, that is the settling out of court of not settling out of court.
Right.
I'm never giving anybody any money. If anybody ever seriously accuses me of anything and just won't shut up, it'll be it's so weird that they got into that accident. And I'll be I was friends with them. Too bad. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes people's brakes just fall off.
I hate to say it, but because we're on a different platform, you're going to have to explain the book. Please do it quickly.
I will explain the book to the no one that's watching. So yeah, specifically everybody on TikTok, this is this awful Christmas present for a goofy person book called Dear Asshole. It's got serrations, it has tear out pages, and it's a bunch of passive aggressive letters that go out that you can tear out that someone else wrote if someone takes your parking spot. I guess you put it under their windshield wiper. You can't think of something else to write. If someone takes your parking spot, write on their windshield in feces, okay? And I don't even care what it is. You can write a word if you want. I think the fact that there's shit all over their car in general, that doesn't happen by itself. They'll learn what they did. But if you just take your turd in your own hand and just write something, just racist on there. They'll just be like, they'll probably never be in that parking lot again. That's your spot now. I don't know.
Jeez.
Well, if you're gonna use this book, and again, it was written by a couple of people. That might be one person. I have no idea. It just smacks of like weird privileged trust fund people that were like, can you please do something? And they're like, how about we have this funny idea for a book? It's not funny. It's not ironic. When the things they make fun of are like servers that aren't doing good enough at a restaurant. It's Karen-y as shit. Like, it's just terrible. And, oh
boy, this one's going to be amazing. So here we go.
Hang on.
What?
So I don't look ahead, that I don't pre-read these. And I was like, I couldn't think of anything better than like the very first one was like, dear crappy server at a restaurant. And
Yeah, that one was
such
terrible.
a privileged shithead. Also, it was. I don't go looking for racism when there is none, but I found some.
Yeah.
There was some in there. And, like, okay, yeah, this one is just entitled Dear Asshole Hotel Maid. And I just...
Wow.
That's worse than the server, because the server is the victim of a socioeconomic thing the same way the hotel maid is. Although, like, I think bartenders and servers can definitely rake in more money than a hotel maid a lot of the time.
Yes, they do.
That's definitely a thing. So it's like this poor person is stuck in a worse place. However, most of the time, both of them are kind of, it's like, well, it's the system that kind of has them where they are, sure. But Dear Asshole Hotel Maid, that is just never really going to be the person. That is how little time they're given, how shitty everything is, like how little money they make. That's just entirely like...
Yeah, and honestly, like the supplies they're given, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
So this might actually be one that I frame. We're going to see. I haven't read it yet. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. But anyway, I won every podcast in the last 10 minutes. It's almost over. If you want to hang out and give us some fucking coins on TikTok or whatever, that's fine.
I don't know what that means, but yes,
I don't know. Yeah.
It's fine.
What a wild experiment. Actually, I got so wound up I forgot to smoke, so I guess I just won't today.
That's fine.
I've been drinking a lot, so that's fine. Is that okay, TikTok?
Water. Drinking
No,
water.
it's vodka that tastes a little bit like dirty socks. Ooh. But I'm going to close out the episode by reading Dear Asshole Hotel Maid from this horribly shitty book that my parents gave me for Christmas for a reason I cannot fathom, called Dear Asshole. So, Dear Asshole Hotel Maid. This place is a cesspool. Yeah, see?
That's totally their fault.
Yeah, that's not management or anything. I found hair on the shower wall. Something with 6 legs under the sheets. So, a bug, but not a spider or a scorpion. Good to know. Or a centipede. Just a few other kinds of bugs it could be. And a half-eaten stick of what I can only hope was beef jerky in the garbage can. Oh, in the trash there was trash?
Oh my god, this is by far the worst so far, and we're only like 2 sentences in.
That maid should be boiled in diarrhea. Like, what an awful person. I can't believe that maid. Can you believe what the maid did? It's in the book, man.
She left the beef jerky in the garbage.
Well, I've heard of pretty terrible things. Remember when we had a seat on that private cruise on the mega yacht, and somebody left toast crumbs in the toaster.
No, see, a woman would totally leave this behind. A woman would write this and leave this behind.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Because
Just read the damn
No,
thing.
hang on. What a dude would do, if he noticed, he might not. But let's just say that he did. Let's just say it was me. If it was gross enough.
It's a super rich dude that would probably have an issue with it.
And he wouldn't leave a note. He would make it worse. That is a man thing.
Yeah, you're right.
And everyone would be like, that's so true. What Meredith said, I don't know. But, yeah. Like, I would just shit in the garbage can and be like, how about that? You know, leave your jerky. I'll jerk you off in my poop garbage. But, yeah, no, I don't know. This was, I think, written by... we were like, maybe it was someone just lying about being a woman so they could get away with it. But I think maybe it is. At this point, this book is just a cursed tome of horror, and I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, someone left beef jerky in the garbage can, and they're very incensed. I don't know what you're doing in here, but it's certainly not cleaning. Well, one of my favorite things to look up on Pornhub is this hotel maid catching a guy jerking off, and he's very upset and says he's going to call the manager unless she blows him, and she seems kind of excited towards the end. And then she has to go, though, because she only had 10 minutes, and then maybe it was dirty after that. So I'm like,
okay,
I don't know.
Totally in the letter, by the way.
I don't know what they're doing in there, and it's not cleaning. No, they're fucking, and it was kind of a good one. And I wish I remembered the actress's name. She's not even all that hot, but boy, she can act like she's not into it in a real convincing way. And for a porno that's well produced with good lighting, that's not easy to find.
Great.
And she looked like a real hotel maid. I don't know. Realism, people. Sometimes that disconnect after COVID, you just want to see something that you feel is organic, even when you know it's not.
Oh my God. Finish this awful letter. She's starting to get confused on what's part of the letter and what's just your imagination.
It's hard for me to tell, too. So, at the very least, grab something bristly from that squeaky cart of yours and scrub that filthy toilet.
Oh, my God.
This book is supposed to be funny, by the way. Can you imagine what kind of fucking Facebook aunt or uncle is just, like, wheezing? But can't you pop here? Well, people, they don't say they want money. They don't do their job. I'll tell you on the fair. That wouldn't fly on the farm. I was real. Oh boy, that fucking old. That dang old foreman would kick right off that construction site.
And they certainly watch Fox News.
Oh, they so do. Well, they just cram this book up their ass and milk their prostate with it. So, I haven't been so horrified by a bathroom since, here comes a joke, since the time I walked in on my grandmother shaving her legs.
What the fuck?
Why is your grandma still shaving her legs?
Yeah, grandma's...
Is Grandpa still around? Is he a modern man? Oh, and then the tagline, do your job. P.S. I know you've been snooping through my suitcase, you klepto.
What the fuck?
These are bad. Everything I have said that might have been a little...
This is the worst one.
Yeah.
It ties with the first one.
And I want to read... Yeah. But I want to reiterate that we have gone over this, like we've gone through multiple pages and everything. If you're like, well, no, they're trying to write what some just awful, rotten Fox News Karen person would write. Like, right? That's the joke. I'm like... It falls so flat and is so, like, cringy Facebook memey that it just after reading so many of these, I'm like, again, like the thing I was saying with the Dalai Lama retraction, you could just read it through the lines. Like, you can just tell the reasoning and the temperament and sort of the actual tone and character of what was being written. Like, and also, I feel like it's so heavy-handed that if you were writing this, would very potentially, I don't know, like, maybe want to say something. Like, we're in the foreword or in the back of the book or some shit like that. You go like, don't you, like, have you ever run into somebody that just has to leave a nasty little note? Well, we did them a favor.
Here's an example.
This book is for those people. They're not creative. They're not funny, but they have a lot of weird shit that they complain about. Like, we made a book.
They need a disclaimer in this book if that were the case.
Yeah, because it's not.
It's so bad.
It just. just isn't that at all. And oh my God, I don't really have anything like super funny to end this on other than like, I'm glad you were all here once again for that golden age of no one's been handed the company line as to how to defend Fox News using words like Hillary Clinton, maybe Israel and Palestine, perhaps something about Twitter. I don't know fucking what it's going to be. I'm sure like gender neutral bathrooms will work their way in there. It's going to be a real mixed bag. But I think that the answer lies in the pages of Dear Asshole.
The Reverend John Wheeler podcast takes zero responsibility for the words, actions, or ideas of its host, guests, or listeners. Though the people on the screen may at times be speaking directly to you and may occasionally give you direct calls to action, neither Reverend John nor the Alchemical Cocktail Lounge are under any moral or legal obligation to answer for the potentially disastrous repercussions that may arise if you are stupid enough to actually follow the orders of a raving lunatic. Think for yourself and do whatever you want, because you're on your own. If anyone ever tries to sue this podcast podcast, black SUVs will converge on your location in the darkness of night and you will never be seen again. Remember to like and subscribe.